This dark mode dashboard maps out a highly sophisticated corporate trajectory. It projects an enterprise value of £44.46 million, anchored by a £41 to £62 million liquidity exit, all achieved by year 5. But the product driving these figures is shockingly simple. It is a 150-gram, two-piece interlocking plastic collar. Its primary function is to wrap around a street lamppost and stop dog urine from rotting the metal at gram level. That 8-figure valuation is accurate, reflecting the company's ability to extract value far beyond the raw cost of the plastic itself. Peetgard relies on precise business-to-government structural alignment to exploit specific, recurring inefficiencies in municipal maintenance budgets. To understand how a plastic collar reaches a £44 million valuation, we have to start at that top-line number and work our way backward through the company's master business plan. The mechanics rely on 3 distinct pillars: a material science strategy engineered for immediate ESG compliance, an aggressive procurement arbitrage that bypasses local government red tape, and an asset-light divestment model. Peetgard's success relies on a business model that entirely removes friction from public sector purchasing while simultaneously erasing the need for private venture capital. Across the UK, millions of steel and concrete roadside assets face a localized continuous threat at ground level. Exposure to uric acid from dogs, seasonal road deicing salts, and standing rainwater truncates a standard 40-year operational lifespan down to just 10 to 15 years. That is a 75% life cycle loss. To manage this structural decay, council authorities currently rely on a reactive remediation model. Council crews travel to decaying bases and coat them in crude oil-derived hot bitumen, a material that must be heated to 180 degrees Celsius before application. This legacy process carries a heavy toll. It costs £175 per column treatment, while emitting volatile organic compounds and leaching toxic polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons directly into adjacent soils. Peetgard replaces that chemical process with a physical intervention. For £24.99, their interlocking shield snaps securely around the base of the column in under 60 seconds. It requires 0 specialized tools and 0 heat, forming an unyielding barrier that mechanically sheds corrosive liquids away from the metal ground boundary. This chart demonstrates exactly how that price difference creates a procurement arbitrage at a municipal scale. We can map this using a localized case study of the East Riding of Yorkshire Council, which actively manages 6,000 high-risk lampposts. Sticking to the legacy react and replace method, applying the £175 bitumen treatment to those 6,000 posts results in a recurring annual drain of £1.05 million on the council budget. Shifting those exact same 6,000 posts over to Peetgard's physical shield at £24.99 requires an initial capital outlay of just £149,940. The transition from chemical remediation to physical preservation hands the council £900,060 in direct net budget savings in year 1 alone. Saving nearly £1 million creates a fiscal gravity that forces immediate public procurement approvals, overriding the standard bureaucratic delays that typically kill infrastructure startups. Generating massive budget savings for a client is useless if the supplier goes bankrupt fulfilling the order. We have to look at the physical supply chain to see how a 25-pound plastic ring is actually profitable to manufacture. This chart highlights the core engineering choice, the material. Peetgard completely bypasses the carbon-intensive extraction required for standard virgin plastics like PET. Instead, they manufacture the guards entirely from upcycled industrial high-tensile polyethylene dregs diverted directly from landfills. HTPE possesses a dense molecular structure, granting it absolute immunity to specific hydrolytic degradation caused by constant exposure to uric acid and freezing salt. But the true value of intercepted waste HTPE is regulatory. Public sector procurement bodies house strict Scope 3 emission targets, and Peetgard provides them an auditable asset to easily hit modern green public procurement mandates. This material choice also perfectly insulates the internal unit economics. We start here at the top of the cascade with the £24.99 enterprise price. because the feedstock is intercepted industrial waste and the physical profile is optimized down to just 150 grams, total manufacturing and freight costs sit at a remarkably low £4.99 per unit. That configuration leaves the company with a baseline gross margin of 78.36% across its core operations. By utilizing upcycled HDTPE, Peetgard solves the chemical vulnerability of the street asset, handing the government a turnkey ESG compliance tool, and secures a defensive profit margin typically reserved for software companies, not heavy hardware manufacturers. The primary friction point for any physical product is the massive capital expenditure required to cut the heavy injection tools before a single unit can be sold. This funding bar maps out Peetgard's year-one capital requirement. To finalize their primary tooling suites and clear rigorous British Standards Institute audits, they need exactly £150,000. The standard playbook is to raise that £150,000 from angel investors at a £1.5 million valuation. The cost of that capital is permanent dilution, sacrificing 10% of the founder's equity. But Peetgard's capitalization matrix outlines a preferred bootstrapping strategy. They leverage their specific localized geography to bypass private venture capital entirely. Operating within the Liverpool City region, the company taps into specialized startup and sustainable innovation funds, pulling down £80,000 in non-dilutive regional grants. That initial grant money entirely absorbs the expensive BSI Kitemark certifications and early administrative overhead. That leaves one remaining operational hurdle, closing the £70,000 tooling capital gap so manufacturing can begin. They close this gap through unit pre-sales. Because each guard yields £20 in clear profit, the math is straightforward. Divide the £70,000 tooling debt by £20. The result is a precise bootstrapping threshold. Exactly 3,500 units must be pre-sold to regional municipal networks to completely fund the factory. 3,500 units is an exceptionally low volume. It is significantly smaller than a single entry-tier 5,000-unit pilot contract with just one regional unitary authority. When that single pilot order clears, the resulting capitalization table retains absolute structural integrity. The founders and strategic partners maintain 100% equity control, with zero external investor dilution. By routing high-margin pre-sales and regional grants against initial capital expenditures, Peetgard achieves nationwide manufacturing capabilities without giving up a single share of stock. Fast forward the business timeline to year 4, when the model hits its operational peak. At a projected 7.5% cumulative market share of UK municipal assets, the physical business yields an estimated £10.35 million in EBITDA. But the master business plan contains a calculated pivot. Peetgard has no intention of remaining a heavy hardware manufacturer over the long term. This chart maps the divestment mechanism. In year 4, Peetgard sells its exclusive UK manufacturing rights to an industrial conglomerate. Applying a 4 to 6x multiple to that EBITDA triggers an immediate capital payout between £41.4 million and £62.1 million. The physical operations are sold, but the parent company retains absolute ownership of the global intellectual property, design rights, and trademarks. The transaction mandates a secondary revenue engine, a recurring 6% gross royalty paid monthly back to the parent holding company. This architecture loops directly back to the initial financial model. When you apply a standard 18% cost of equity discount rate to these projected cash flows and long-term royalty streams, the formula outputs the institutional free cash flow to equity valuation. That calculation arrives at an implied enterprise value of exactly £44,458,630. The £44 million valuation is the mathematical result of using a simple maintenance tool to secure public procurement compliance, bootstrap a zero-dilution supply chain, and construct an IP fortress.